And so our game begins again, Time Lord. It's time to play the game of the Toymaker. Hello, ladies and gents, boys and girls, people of all identities, sexualities, and more, and welcome back to another Doctor Who review. And apologies, it has been too long since our last Doctor Who review, but a lot has happened, and I've been waiting for the perfect moment to make this review. The Celestial Toymaker. Yeah, I luckily got a chance to go and watch this before it came out on DVD at the BFI, and I've got to say, this is going to be quite a review. So, without further ado, without keeping you in more suspense, it's time to get right into the review. Our story starts with the Doctor and his two friends, Stephen and Dodo, when all of a sudden the TARDIS seems to go on the blink and the Doctor suspects foul play. Soon he realizes he is in a dimension he has been in before, the dimension of the Celestial Toy Room. The Celestial Toymaker appears on a monitor and asks the Doctor to play a game. The Doctor refuses profusely and hopes that the Toymaker will just let them go. But sadly for the Doctor, this is not the case, and soon the Doctor finds himself in a matter of life or death. The only way out for the group is to pass the Toymaker's tests and beat his games. But what are his games? And how will they win? Well, the first game we know that is very crucial to this whole story is the Trilogic game. The Doctor must place every single piece on the Trilogic square and make sure that it matches up exactly how it started off on the tower. Elsewhere, Stephen and Dodo must play their first game against two clowns, a game of blind man's bluff, where each team takes it in turns to navigate one another, using a button, a beeper, beep beep, to indicate to their teammate where to move. But the catch is that they must not touch the floor. So it's a bit like the floor is lava, but they must hop from podium to podium without touching the floor. In the game, as Stephen gets very close and Dodo gets very close, they soon learn that the clowns are up to their old tricks, and they have been moving the blocks and bits of the apparatus, knowing full well that the opposite team cannot see what they're doing, due to one of the team members being blinded. The Toymaker soon intervenes, not liking what they've done and not believing in cheating. He challenges the clown's team, to go back through the whole course, and eventually the two clowns are punished as they are caught cheating and also lose the game. Whilst this is going on, the Doctor and the Toymaker are still playing their game. But eventually, after a while, the Doctor decides that he doesn't want to play the Trilogic game anymore, and he refuses to make his turn. As a punishment, the Toymaker makes him invisible, causing the game to get more interesting. He also silences the Doctor for a relative period of time, meaning that the game is done in silence and the pair are faced off against one another until the game is over. The next game that Dodo and Stephen play is a game of electric chairs. Well, electric and ice. Kind of a chair of death. The pair must use the dolls that are hidden in a TARDIS closet to figure out exactly what chairs will kill them and what chairs won't. They place each doll on each chair to figure out, but the catch is they're up against an opposing team. The King of Hearts, the Queen of Hearts, and their son. Each of them take it in turns to figure out what chair is safe and which chair isn't. And eventually, Dodo gets caught in the trap as it comes down to the last two chairs and Dodo ends up sitting in one. Dodo is temporarily frozen in a moment, but then is suddenly released, removing themselves from the chair and finally breaking their bonds. After that, the pair reach a kitchen in which there's a colonel who constantly seems to be getting on Stephen's nerves, trying to detract him from the fact of what they're in the kitchen for. Meanwhile, Dodo begins to search the kitchen for a key to escape the room. As she does, the cook keeps on trying to detract her away from what she's looking for. And as she does, she ends up getting very angry at the young girl because she begins to smash up plates. In doing so, she causes a stir in the kitchen. The colonel comes to her aid and begins to fight the cook. But the cook in turn grabs a broom and begins to get very angry at the colonel. Eventually, the pair find their way out of the room and move on to their next task. The next game requires them to move across a dancing floor with a bunch of ballerinas. But there's a twist. The twist is that the ballerinas, when holding on to them, will not let go. So, Dodo and Stephen do their best to get across the dancing floor with the dancers, switching from place to place, but on their tail is the cook and the colonel, who are doing their best attempt to stop them from proceeding any further. But, sadly, this is thwarted when the pair of them reach the TARDIS on the other end of the scale and eventually move on to the next place. Now the stakes are really starting to draw in. The Doctor only has a few moves left, and the pair must face their final challenge against Mr. Cyril. Cyril is a troublesome teenager with the ability to mock and joke, and as they begin to play a game of hopscotch, Cyril puts some powder on a floor as a trap. He also begins to taunt Dodo. Stephen gets very angry at this, and obviously so, because he believes that they should be playing the game fair, and he's worried that Cyril may be trying to overtake or manipulate the game in his favour. Stephen tries to take a couple moves forward, but Cyril points out that he can't do that. It'd be breaking the rules of the game, and so Stephen must go back to the start. Eventually, as Cyril thinks that he's won, he completely forgets about where he left the powder, especially after he's gone back a few turns. Cyril begins to leap from platform to platform, but eventually ends up falling on his own powder and slipping into the electricity, which he previously warned the pair about, for why they should not walk between the platforms. After completing all their games, Dodo and Stephen now leave it up to the Doctor to finally free them from this nightmare dimension of games. And soon it would be clear that this would not be as easy as first thought. The Toymaker would constantly bring up to the Doctor, "Make your last move, Doctor. Our game is not yet over. Make your last move." The Doctor in turn knew that if he made the last move, they would be trapped there forever, and that this would cause the Toymaker to win overall, meaning that his world wouldn't be destroyed. So he soon points out to Stephen that there is a way out, and that the best way to do it is to trick the game into believing they are still playing. The Doctor uses the Toymaker's voice against him, and soon causes the Toymaker's realm to be destroyed once and for all. Or at least, that's what he believed. So, Doctor Who, the Celestial Toymaker. What do I rate it at 10? Well, it's a fantastic story with twists and turns, and I've got to say, I have so much admiration for the animators of this story. It was incredible of a watch, and for that reason, it's going to sound a bit biased saying this because I was at the BFI, but
I am gonna have to give it a 10 out of 10 just for like Michael Go's performance and the way you could tell the performance. It's just incredible. And the fact that now we have a fully restored story of this is even better. So yeah, for that reason, 10 out of 10 all the way. Thank you, ladies and gents, for watching. I will see you in the next Doctor Who review. Until then, so long, and Geronimo.